But then I heard a loud shout behind me, and suddenly the headmaster was bolting out of the tree line.
Oh no, run! Michael, get out of there! You've got seconds! No moi, it's Joinen, and welcome to Storytime Animated. It's like My Story Animated, but it's not. It's a different channel. There's time involved. I don't know, I guess they all do the same thing. But today, we're gonna be looking at I didn't know females existed until I was 18. How? How could this be? Well, we're about to find out.
I could never understand women. They were so confusing.
Women. They just make no sense. Funny if that's all the video is. It's not like I didn't know females existed until I was 18. It's just sort of like just a major clickbait title for like, I didn't understand a woman's point of view until I was 18.
Firstly, I had no idea what they wanted. And secondly, I didn't even know females existed until I was 18.
Secondly, you're gonna come in there with secondly? That feels like a firstly. In the order of those two things, I didn't know what they wanted. I also didn't know they were a thing. That's a firstly. Firstly, I didn't know they were a thing. Secondly, I didn't know what they wanted because refer back to firstly, didn't know they were a thing. Pretty hard to understand women when you don't even know of their existence.
You're probably wondering how that is even possible. Well, let me tell you, it is one crazy story. But first, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel and turn on post notifications. If you do, your crush will text you within 2 days.
Done. 2 days, I'm waiting.
I grew up in an all-boys school. The headmaster was this old man who was very strict and harsh. He was always grumpy and always seemed to be yelling at somebody.
Typical headmaster vibes, right? Running an all-boys school. Did he never meet his mother? Is my big question there. Kid never met his mum?
And there were around 100 boys in total. No girls.
No girls allowed. It's a cootie-free zone.
Plus, the outside world.
You know headmasters typically just hate children.
Then what are they doing? What are they doing with their lives? Why are there people who hate children who are just like, you know what I'm gonna do? Work at a school, work at a boarding school, so that I can literally never get away from the children.
The headmaster told us the outside world was ravaged by monsters and demons. And we had to stay inside the school if we wanted to survive.
What? And you bought it. You dum-dums ate that up. That the outside world was ravaged by monsters and demons? Isn't this an anime? I've definitely watched at least half of this anime.
We had been growing up there for as long as we could remember. And he was the only adult around. We knew nothing else. Now that I think about it, it was probably more of a cult than an all-boys home. But back then, I didn't even know what a cult was.
Oh, you knew. Oh, you knew what it was. You just didn't know it had a name. You know, thinking back on it, that guy who kept us entrapped and wouldn't let us see the outside world because he said that there were demons out there, that thing was probably a cult. I think it was a little bit culty, now that I'm saying it out loud.
We lived simple lives. We grew our own crops. We tended our own livestock.
Wait, they do manual labor? Why are they doing manual labor?
The headmaster dressed us all in the exact same clothes, and he made us all have the exact same haircut. The headmaster had jet black hair.
Say jet black hair? His hair was filled with jets. I bet you that is one of those instances of a typo in the script, and they send the voiceover to the script guy and he just reads it out. He doesn't care. They wrote jet black as a typo, and he's like, well, that's what it says.
Enough to have fair hair, they would be forced to dye their hair in tar.
What? Did you just say dye their hair in tar? Tar is really the only way you can get your jet black hair.
We all looked the same, sounded the same, spoke the same. We even had the same name, Michael.
We were literally all Michael, Vsauce. Michael here, just like Michael here, Michael.
When you go to a school with 100 people with the same name, it can make daily life pretty difficult.
Why is the headmaster giving him names? I'm just so interested in how all these boys ended up here. Who are these parents who are like just dropping their kids off as babies? They're just cool with that. Yeah, you take him. I never want to see him again. No. We don't care that he'll be called Michael. It's Michael, but just spelled differently. Every one of them. This is the Vsauce origin story. This is how it all started. You thought there was only one Michael from Vsauce? Let me tell you.
Anyway, the headmaster forced us to do a bunch of weird activities. Well, I didn't think they were weird back then because that was all I knew. But now I realize just how freaky it was. For starters, every night at precisely 7 o'clock, he made us chant and dance around the campfire and toss a bunch of flowers in the fire.
That's a little red flag. Whenever your creepy cult leader guy gets you to chant around a fire, a little bit of a giveaway that you might be involved in something. Can't believe this guy. Now that I think about it, chanting around a fire and throwing flowers into the fire like every day at 7 p.m., like it's a little bit culty. A little bit culty, am I right? Or is that just me?
We had to eat at the same time, drink at the same time, even bathe at the same time. He wanted us all to be exactly like him. It was crazy.
That is a little bit crazy, but what does that mean? Does that mean that this kid grew up like chanting around fires and bathing at those times and all that kind of stuff? Is that how he came to be him? Oh, it's like a pyramid scheme, right? Like if he raises these kids to be exactly like him and all of the Michaels rise up and then they spout out and run their own little cults, and then they raise their own little Michael cults, and then Michaels eventually just take over the entire world.
We also read from this book of stories. He called it the Book of Wisdom, and it told all about how man started the world, how man had found fire, how man was the greatest being on earth.
And man's name was Michael. This dates back. This is centuries old.
It never mentioned anything about women. We had no internet, no books to read, no radio. We had no idea women even existed. Of course, back then, I thought the only human being was male. I had no idea there were females.
You wouldn't have thought the only human being was male. You would have thought the only human being was Michael. Every man is Michael. What is man, but not Michael?
The headmaster told us never to stray too far from our school, as he said that was where the monsters lived, and if we wandered too far off, they'd eat us.
Monsters are women? Yeah, maybe there's some like little thing here where he's like, this old dude is just absolutely, terrified of women. They're out there. They got long hair and stuff, and their hair's not jet black, and their names aren't Michael.
We believed him, of course, so we never left the school. That was until that one fateful night. I was with my best friend. We were 15 years old. We thought, for the first time, why not explore a little further in the woods? We went out wandering in the woods and we came across the electric fence surrounding our school. Over the top of it, I could see someone's head. They had blonde hair. A person. They seemed to be talking to someone.
It's a woman! It's a real life woman! It's a non-Michael. It's a Michelle! What do you think is gonna happen when the Michaels get curious, huh?
Why was their voice so high-pitched? And why was their hair so long? I pointed them out to my best friend and he looked over too.
What is that thing? Now you said there was monsters? That's a monster. It's got long, blonde hair, a high-pitched voice. I bet you its name isn't even Michael.
Who was this stranger? Why did they sound so strange? Before I could call out to that person, the headmaster appeared out of nowhere, face red with anger, and he dragged us all the way back to school.
And he killed them. Simply chopped their heads off. Done. These Michaels know the truth. They need to be dealt with.
When we got back to school, he screamed and yelled at us, telling us off for straying too far. My friend and I never mentioned anything about the blonde-haired stranger with the high-pitched voice, and we never told anyone else about it either. I guess since the headmaster was so mad, we thought it was better to forget about it than bring it up again. Stranger still, the headmaster told off all the other 100 boys again, as if they had wandered off into the woods too.
Well, I was about to say there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, because now you've got two Michaels who have been told off and the other Michaels haven't been told off. And if they're, supposed to be so aligned, so similar, it's almost like all the other boys now need to see the woman, because otherwise they're different Michaels. They've seen different things.
Back then, I thought it was normal, but now I realize just how crazy our headmaster was.
Well, you keep saying that. It's established. Headmaster, bad dude. Pretty bad on that list of bad people. He's pretty up there.
Even though I was scared of the headmaster's outburst, I was still curious about the strange person with the blonde hair. So one day, I returned to the fence alone, and I spotted the really strange-looking human again. It was the blonde-haired human, and I had a clearer view of them this time.
And you were like, hey, Michael!
What I saw made my jaw drop. They looked sort of like me, except they had long hair, and their chest looked different than mine. I was so confused. They didn't look exactly like me, but they were definitely human.
Human? Do you know what a human is? No, you don't know what human is. You know what man is. I'm confused. They didn't look exactly like me, but they were definitely Michael.
Then what were they? All of a sudden, the human glanced up at me, and they shouted at me. Who was this person? And why did they look so weird? That's when I realized it was a female.
That's when you realized it was a female. All you know in this life is Michael and fellow Michaels. You've only ever seen Michaels. And now you're looking at this dude and you're like, oh, this makes sense. That one's not a Michael. That one is a Michael. It's kind of like a Michael. A female even, maybe. Maybe I'm just gonna call her a female.
My mind suddenly lurched back to when I was 10 years old.
Oh, dang.
I remember I had found an old newspaper at the school, under the floorboards. On the cover of the newspaper, it had this story about this woman who had won some medal or something.
This woman had won a medal, and her name was not Michael.
I had been so confused. I remember asking the headmaster what a woman was.
Bad choice, dude. Bad choice. Don't go to him about stuff, especially not about woman stuff.
He had told me never to use the word again. As punishment, he had burnt the newspaper right in front of me and locked me in my room for 2 weeks.
Yeah, headmaster, you're running a cult and you're not even good at it. When one of them finds a newspaper and you burn it so they can't look at it again, you don't lock them away for 2 weeks. They're gonna come back hungrier for the knowledge. What was this forbidden knowledge about this Woo Man? What is Woo Man? How do I learn more about Woo Man? You've planted that little seed in his head.
I soon forgot about the newspaper and the picture of the woman. But now, with this blonde human standing in front of me, I realized this must be what a female looked like. It was insane. I hadn't even realized females existed until I was 18.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were kind of 10, let's be honest. Like, sure, you're 18, but there was that one time when you were 10 and you learned about a woman.
Moved closer to me on the other side of the electric fence. Are you okay? She asked in concern. I was too terrified to speak. I could feel my body seizing up with fear. What's your name? She asked.
Michael. What do you mean, what's my name? What, people have names other than Michael?
I gulped. Michael. Nice to meet you, Michael. Then she seemed to peer closer at me. She glanced at my face. Wait a second. I know you. You see, I have a very distinct face. I have a red birthmark on my neck that is easily identifiable. So whoever this lady was, she must have recognized me from my birthmark.
From when? She noticed his face by the birthmark on his neck, first of all. He must have come here when he was like super young. You reckon it's his mum? You reckon it's Michael's mum?
But I had no idea who she was. I was so confused. All I could say was, "You know me?" The woman nodded. "I need to get you out of here. Can you climb over the fence?" I was so shocked by her abruptness. Get out of here? But why?
He's got Stockholm Syndrome. He's not just gonna jump over a fence. He's comfortable. He's with these Michaels. He's where he needs to be. At least in his head, that's what he's thinking. He's not about to just jump over this fence. Especially with someone who doesn't look like the Michaels.
The outside world was full of monsters. Come to think of it, I was surprised she was still alive. "No, I don't want to leave," I exclaimed. She cocked her head, uncertain. "No, you have to. You have to leave right now. Let me help you." I was still apprehensive, but then she brought out this strange-looking box. She attached it to the fence and told me to back away. I obeyed, and suddenly sparks flew out of the fence and from the weird metal box. "You can climb over now."
What year is it? Are we in the future? We got some weird metal boxes that can stop electric fences from being electric. She got some like fancy tech.
"Trust me, it's safe now." I shook my head. But then I heard a loud shout behind me, and suddenly the headmaster was bolting out of the tree line.
Oh no, run! Michael, get out of there! You've got seconds! Up until now, you could have turned around, you could have gone back to your life with the Michaels. But now, it is done. It has been decided. Your fate is sealed. This bloke, he's gonna kill you. He let you go once before. It's not happening again. Jump the fence. Go with the Woo Man, Michael. Go with Michelle.
He was sprinting towards me, shouting at me to get back. The woman yelled at me to hurry, to climb over, but I was so torn. Who should I trust? The headmaster who had cared for me for my whole life?
Yeah, cared. Quotation marks. But I get it. It's understandable. It's what you know. That bloke.
I took one look at the headmaster's fuming face, and I made my decision.
Yeah, look, he wasn't gonna let you live. You made the right choice.
I rushed to the fence, climbing over. I just managed to slip past the headmaster's fingertips. I landed on the other side, and the woman took my hand, and we bolted. The headmaster was screaming, shaking the fence, trying to climb over, but he wasn't exactly an athletic old man.
He wasn't exactly an athletic old Michael.
Then, suddenly, the woman led me to this huge metal monster. I yelped, shrinking back. Then, the monster ate the woman. She entered its insides.
So dumb. Yeah, I get it. You wouldn't know what a car is.
A loud roar seemed to sound from the metal monster. Okay, now I realize it wasn't a metal monster. It was a car. But in all my 18 years, I had never even seen or heard of a car.
All I knew was Michael. When we wanted to get around in Michaeltown, we just got on the back of another Michael.
I peered back at the direction of the headmaster, then at this metal monster. Well, I knew which one I preferred. I jumped right into the belly of the beast.
He chose the woman instead of the Michael.
He made his decision. He's got a curious mind. That's always going to happen, you know? Humans are humans. It doesn't matter if you raise them up to be the exact same thing. There's going to be someone who goes, you know what? Maybe there's more to life than just Michael.
As we drove back, trees and bushes melted away into strange-looking buildings and bright signs, which I now realize were traffic lights.
You keep doing that? It's a bit of a gimmick whenever you're like, and then we stumbled across this strange, fluffy piece of Michael flesh, and it tasted delicious. But I now realize that was a ham sandwich.
I couldn't believe my eyes. This was an entire world I knew nothing about. Then we reached a road with tarmac, and I couldn't believe how smooth the ground was.
Just Michael things. Yeah, it's such a Michael thing to just appreciate the smoothness of the ground. And the ground was so smooth. It was so smooth. It was smoother than a Michael's back. But I now realize that was just road.
Michael, I have to tell you something, the woman called over. Yes, I whispered. Your real name isn't Michael.
No! No, don't tell me. I don't want to know. It's Mike.
Sam. And you don't belong with that man.
Sam.
You have a family. She paused. You were kidnapped. I frowned. Kidnapped?
What is kidnapped? All I know is Michael napped. Sometimes the headmaster lets us take a Michael nap, and that is a good day. Tuesday's a good day. Tuesday's Michael nap day. The best day. What's this kidnap? Is this also fun?
Yes, at a very young age. You're lucky I recognized you from one of our missing person files. And you're lucky you have a birthmark. Otherwise, you may have been stuck there forever.
This doesn't seem like a police matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not the kind of thing a police would be doing. I know the missing person file, and then you just spot one of the Michaels behind a fence. You just take it. You just take one of the Michaels. You know, you have a pretty good suspicion that that entire building is full of Michaels. Packed full of them. And the guy running that operation, you know, is messed up. Can't they just take like a SWAT team? Like, this is something that, in my opinion, would require a little bit more planning. You'd get in there and you would try get all of the Michaels, not just Sam. Like, what are we just saying stuff you to the other Michaels?
I'm going to take you straight to your family, she said. They will be so overjoyed. She introduced herself as a policewoman. Her name was Ashley. She told me I had been missing for 18 years.
Wait, 18 years? And he's 18. What? He was kidnapped when he was 0. He was not but a year old. Yeah, I still think this is so weird that she spotted him based on a birthmark of a baby from 18 years ago. She's just like, a birthmark on the neck? That's the one. Let's take him.
My family still believed I was alive and continuously put up posters around town.
Missing
As it
Michael.
turned out, the headmaster wasn't the righteous man he had made himself out to be.
What? You telling me the headmaster wasn't a good dude all this time?
He was a kidnapper and had taken me from my family when I was barely a year old. He had then raised me in isolation from the rest of the world. As Ashley told me all of these things, I could feel my mind split into two.
I just don't understand. If she knows that he did this, then why can't she go and get them? And if she can't go and get them, why could she get Sam? What's the exception here?
Ashley eventually told me we were at my family's house. She said she'd go in first and ask them to come meet me. What would they look like? Would they remember me? Would they even like me?
Would they remember you? In the photo, it looked like you had younger sisters. So no, the sisters will not remember you. They never met you. Imagine if you had a brother named Michael. Oh, his dad's named Michael.
Ashley came back out of the house, followed by a group of people. She then introduced me to them, and they were all clearly excited and nervous too. I had a mother, a father, 2 sisters. I never even knew females had existed until then.
Until that day. And surprise, now you live with 3 of them.
They told me they had missed me so much.
How old are they? They must be older sisters then. I mean, he wasn't even a year old. So like, sure, you'd miss him in a way that like, I wish I still had my brother, but like, not like you really knew him that much.
My family helped me adapt into this whole world I knew nothing about. It was like I had time traveled to the future. I was behind in my education, so...
That's probably an understatement. Behind in his education. What has he learned? He had the Book of Wisdom. That's what he's learned. He learned about man and Michael. He learned about the importance of Michael. I was behind in education. I just can't get over that line. You don't know what a car is, dude. This isn't about education. This is about getting you up to like being a human, knowing women is a thing.
To school again, and I was shocked by all the girls there. I couldn't believe, for 18 years of my life, I never even knew they existed. I couldn't stop staring at them. They probably thought I was a creep.
He probably was a creep. Like, let's be honest, this dude's probably a creep. And not to any fault to him, he's probably just a super weird dude. This guy has to be like the most sheltered person, one of the most sheltered people in like human history. He has no idea about literally anything on Earth. He would be a weird guy.
Then, gradually, I began to get used to it. I grew accustomed to the females, the cars.
I grew accustomed to the females. It's like the most incel line. Eventually, I grew accustomed to the females. I just feel like saying the line, I grew accustomed to the females, means that like you're not super accustomed yet. You're getting accustomed.
But then, everything was thrown off course. I was at home, in my room. It was late at night, and I was fast asleep.
Don't tell me the headmaster or one of the Michaels shows up.
But then, I heard a loud noise. I opened my eyes and saw the headmaster looking in through the window with his
He's like, not one of the Michaels. Michael, you've been a bad boy. Get back home.
malicious eyes. He had found me. I was terrified and screamed, and the headmaster opened the window to try and get into the room, but my mom burst in just in time. We called the cops and the headmaster was arrested.
This is what I don't understand. Why is he only now arrested? He's like literally been kidnapping people, but him showing up in a window, that's the final straw? He was looking through my window, breaking and entering. Now it's about time. Maybe we arrest him. Not like he's running a cult of like a bajillion kidnapped Michaels.
To this day, he is still in prison, serving a life sentence for kidnapping over 100 children.
Jeez.
My life was never the same because of him. I had missed out on so much of the world.
Yep.
But I'm so thankful my real family is here to help me. And I'm happy to tell you that things are getting better. Slowly but surely.
Good. I am glad for you. It's just a gender reverse version of another story. This is a gender reverse version of another story. Classic move. Am I the only one who is really looking forward to Christmas? Probably not. Don't know what that's got to do with Michaels, but anyway, if you want to get some of the sweet lemon carton merch, you can get that in the description below. It's got a cute little lemon carton on it. And you can come follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Joinen, but on Twitch, where we film these videos live every weekday. And I will see you, Michaels, tomorrow.
Thank you for watching my video, but now that it's done, please watch another one.